If you're watching this, you've probably had an idea about how AI can improve your life. Probably that's at work. There's probably some task that you feel could be automated or feel that AI could solve this, but you're not a developer. And all those AI solutions out there, they look too technical for you to try. But I promise you, learning a little bit of something like Claude Code, just the basics, and you'll be able to abstract away all the difficulty and have an AI assistant that does everything you need without you lifting a technical finger. Today, I want to show you how I can link a messaging app like Telegram with something like Claude Code on the back end, which will auto-deploy custom web tools for me and my business. Let's jump in. So inside of Telegram, I've built essentially a lightweight custom version of OpenClaw, which is an AI personal assistant that's really specific towards me and my needs. It can do three things at the high level. First, it can take content ideas and help me flesh them out. So if I see something interesting or that I want to investigate further, I can just drop in a link and that'll go into my content database that I can review later. I can also create scheduled automated tasks through being linked to trigger.dev. And you can check out a previous video I've done, which shows you how to set up that platform. Finally, it can create isolated websites and web services, and that's what we're going to explore today. Those three things capture 90% of what I need to do every day, and I don't need a hardcore OpenClaw setup to get what I need done. So let's get started with making a website and having Claude Code deploy this website in the background. I'm going to start by pasting in a prompt. I want it to build me a site where you can upload a CSV and it to generate a dashboard. So that includes charts, key metrics, and an AI-written analysis of trends and outliers. Clean design, dark mode, and I want it deployed when it's done. So I'll send the message and I get the response back from my bot showing that it's on it. And from there, it's going to triage my message and understand that it's got to be assigned to my website making agent. And that's what's going to build the site for me. So we can jump across to trigger.dev and we can see that the intent classifier correctly ran. And it took our message and it understood what type of task it is, which is setting up an isolated sandbox to run its own Claude Code instance to create the site. The reason we might want to do this over OpenClaw is because we can run an authenticated instance of Claude Code rather than using API keys. And typically your usage limits will be a lot higher when using an authenticated version of Claude Code. So we want to create a sandbox environment that runs it. To do that, I'm using a service called E2B, which spins up sandboxed versions of any service that you want to run, in this case, Claude Code. So we can see that it correctly picked up a sandbox, and I can actually go in and review the logs to see it working through and spinning up the Claude Code instance. And you can see here it's getting different credentials that might be needed, and ultimately it's going to start the task in the background. Okay, so we can see it's now sent through a message after about 14 minutes that it's done, and we can verify that through the sandbox, which is really nice that this automatically stops, so you're not going to get charged for something that you're not using. And this is a free service, mostly to start anyway, so we can see there it finished in 13 minutes as well. From there, I came to my GitHub and found that this repo had been automatically made. So this is all the code for this, and I can see that it's been deployed onto GitHub Pages, which is really exciting. So it's created a full Next app and deployed it through GitHub as well. So clicking through, we can actually get to the app, and unfortunately, something has gone awry. It looks like the styling hasn't been picked up, but we can see this is where the file can be uploaded, as well as, I guess these should be other charts. So not to worry, this is often what happens when building with code, especially when your prompt is quite basic. So what we would do, as with any other chat app, we would come back to this and give it our new instructions to improve and fix this site. So I've just sent it a new message following on in conversation on telling it that it needs to reconnect the style sheet and also add in an actual API to make the CSV data analysis work. So we'll let this run another 10 minutes since it's spinning up an instance, running it, fixing it, and everything. So I'll let it run and check back in. Okay, it's 7 or 8 minutes later, and what's great is I can actually see that the new commits have already pushed. This is likely the first round of revisions that it's doing, and it's probably going to do multiple until it really thinks it's satisfied all the criteria. But it does look as if it was just a style sheet linking error. I knew that, but I'm sure you could have asked it using a bit more plain English. So here I can drop in the data set, and instantly it reformats it into something more visual that I can see. So I can see a lot of basic charts that help visualize some of the data. So pretty cool there. Data schema, so we can see more about what this data set is. And then ultimately put in my API key for Claude and let it analyze the data. And similar to my previous data uploader, we can see an AI analysis has been run. Now, I would still recommend using the data uploader from the previous video because that is skillfully trained to analyze your data, whereas this is a bit more generic, but we could ultimately combine the two. So while this isn't necessarily groundbreaking or revolutionary, hopefully it shows you a good example that you don't need to be a developer. You don't need to hire a developer. If you simply understand the basics of how something like Claude Code works, you can link Claude Code to something like a messaging app and have it self-build systems for you to utilize at your workplace or in your personal life. If you want this exact setup, shoot me a DM or comment below and I'll send it through. Enjoy.